Jeff Disher here with another OpenAutonomy demo. Today we're going to be looking at how the social networking application in OpenAutonomy works. First of all, I've created another user from the previous tests I was using. So as before, there's Firefox user with the cat picture, but also there's a Safari test user with no picture. And so I'll be using these two to show how the kind of back and forth between different users actually works. So if I'm acting as the Safari user and just look at their social networking, you can see that it starts out as being empty. Now this actually fills up the first time you request it with anything that's actually been posted. So this is going to be the most recent post made by anyone that's in your trusted user list. And of course you can see in my list I had OpenAutonomy and Firefox. Here you can see one of the other things that happens when you set your details. It actually posts something to your social feed so users can see what you've changed. Now, if I go back over to the Firefox user and go to its social networking app, it can see all the things it's posted itself. And as I refresh, it'll start seeing new information. So new data coming out of the CBC news feed. And if I go, so this is starting to fill up now with the information because it's looking at it. Now I can just check out some of the basic back and forth how this works with users. So if I want to run something here as this Safari test user, just get rid of this first. So this has the usual kind of behavior you'd expect for simple social networking kind of situations. So this one will come through over here, there. So you can see that I have the response there. Because these two users both trust each other, their communication will go through faster. If only you trust the person you're watching, you will see the information they post, but you won't see it as quickly. So I'll just say quick response. And if we go back to the Safari user, I'll close that as well. And now we actually see that this is shown up. Note also, when somebody replies to something you've written, you get a notification mentioning that they've replied to your post, and there's a link to this specific conversation, or I can just clear it, which I'll do there. Now, something else to look at here is that there's these two different color buttons to clear the data. The red will actually delete the entire entry, whereas the orange will just delete this one comment. So as the person who started this conversation, the Safari test user can do both of these things. Whereas on the Firefox side, all I'll be able to do is clear my own. So looking now at some of the other things you can do with this, just as a simple example, is you can do something like, say I wanted to add some sort of picture, like this case here with the details being updated. Say I want to do something similar to that. Well, I'll just use the same appearance just to sort of get something kind of quick to pass back and forth. But this I'm now going to store, and I can set things here, whatever I'm sharing. Here's that picture. Whatever I'm sharing here, I can set the trust group as well. That way, this determines how closely I have to trust a user for them to be able to see the entry I'm making. So if I make it public, everyone will be able to see it, even anonymous users. Trusted will mean only those users that I also trust. And private will mean no one except for me, which is basically only useful in case you're wanting to just make some notes to yourself. But generally speaking, for social networking, it's not that valuable. Also, if you're going to share a file, because normally you don't, but if you are going to share a file with this, you also need to say where you want to put it. So in this case, I only have the one storage application called Simple Storage, so I'll put it there. So now if I post new status, it says uploading the attachment, and now you see the new post appear, and it builds a preview for it. So like in the other case, that's how you'd normally do that. But let's say, for example, that I wanted to refer to somebody else. Like if I go over to the Firefox user again. Now they had much more information in terms of other users they were looking at. Say we wanted to refer to some other page somewhere. So as a quick example, something like just openautonomy.com itself. as much as I'm logged in here, I can also decide that I want to copy this link, because this is a common case where you just want to point someone to something, a video or something like that. So what you do in this case, and we'll just show it with the Firefox user, and I should see that other post come through as well. There it is, from the other user. You could say, check out this site. And what you do now is I'll paste it in there, but I want OpenAutonomy to actually know that I want it to describe this. It isn't just something that I want it to drop in there just as text. So what I'll do is I'll say this is actually a link. So this adds this sort of decoration to it so that OpenAutonomy knows to actually treat it as something special when other users see it. And now I'll post that. So what it does in this case is it'll actually build a description of the link based on what it sees on that page. Now this page is very simple, but if you look at more complicated ones like video feeds, for example, you'll get poster frames. And generally it tries to display whatever that page wants to use to describe itself. I'll just do a quick refresh over here as well, and you can see now I'm seeing this other post that's been created. Now something else you can do, and I'll go back to the Firefox user to show this, is maybe you want to refer to another user. Say you really like someone else's posts and you want to, or you were hanging out with someone, you want to refer to them. In this case, we'll copy that, the actual OpenAutonomy identity. So just copy it as a link, because in OpenAutonomy all things are just links. And I wanted to refer to this person specifically. So I'll say, check this person out. I'll paste that in, but this time instead of using OA link, I want it to actually treat it like an identity. So I'll say it's OA identity and post that. So now it actually shows up as it normally would for someone's appearance, for example. If I go back to this side, as the Safari user, I'll see that appear again. It's kind of the back and forth for how conversations work and how to include links and also identity references. But one of the things we haven't done yet is talk about what this does. In this case, I'm going to say, all right, I really like this entry. Maybe I work there or something like that. And so what I'm going to do is actually put this into my social feed. So I'll just do the reshare. And this is similar to what you find on other sites. Now in this case, it shows up as something I posted, reshared from this other user. And also, whenever you reshare, you don't get new comments. If I actually go to read the discussion, it'll take me to the original. But I want to go back to mine for now. So just to kind of close, the last couple things that I didn't actually demonstrate directly, but they're worth pointing out, is if I'm looking over here and let's see, yeah, there, I can now see this reshare that's gone on. But say I want to start getting rid of some of my other information, kind of revoke some of this. Like this entry, for example, say I'm not that interested in it. So I can delete that. And now if I go back to the Safari side, we'll actually see it disappear. Yeah. So it disappeared there. And maybe I want to make a comment here. And since there's been new activity here, this entry actually floated to the top. And if I go back to the Firefox user, there's another notification that the post was modified. And if I don't want to have this conversation, say someone said something I didn't like here, I can just delete the comment specifically because I own the actual conversation. And back on the other side, we'll see that disappear. I can add another comment myself, just call it another comment, and make sure that we see it on the other side first. Yep, shows up there. Now this time, say that I wanted to delete that comment myself, because I know that I decided not to say anything about that. Then I can delete it that way. Similarly, maybe if we do one other thing to show one of the other cases is, I'll say looking good, because it's the same picture. And that again floats to the top because it has recent activity. Now over here, maybe I don't like that someone is talking about this. Maybe it's old, I'm not interested in this conversation anymore. I can actually delete the entire root itself. And now that whole conversation is gone, and on the other side, it will disappear. Comments and all. So that's just sort of a simple set of things that you can do with the OpenAutonomy social networking application. And it's sort of a common thing that is easy to use, comes in handy for a lot of situations. And if you're using OpenAutonomy for something like RSS news reading, then it is the best way to get that news information kind of aggregated together into your social feed. So you can interact with the news articles just like you're interacting with other people.